Welcome, dear readers. You are listening to Time to Read, a Winnipeg Public Library podcast. We are coming to you live from the Goodwill Social Club. If you're surprised to see a bunch of librarians on stage at a bar, don't worry, my boss would be too. So if she happens to ask, this is all taking place at the Millennium Library. We are, of course, still on Treaty 1 territory and on land that is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. Tonight, in this very special episode, we will be celebrating the books we all loved as kids. I'm Alan Chorney, branch head of the brand new Transcona Library, and my biggest hope for tonight is to successfully go crowd surfing. So we want to get you riled up. To my right is...
That's me. I'm Kirsten, and I'm the librarian at the Harvey Smith Library right here in the West End. And I'm just realizing that I think I am living a bit of a childhood dream right now. This is my job, talking books with people who I love, people who I respect, people who make me laugh, and people that I can learn from. So, yay. And to my right is...
Hi, I'm Trevor. I'm the branch head of the Louis Riel Library in beautiful South St. Vital. And my biggest hope tonight is that our listenership doesn't actually go down after you see us in person. So if just keep an even keel, I'll be good with that. And across the table from me is...
Hi, I'm Erica Ball. I'm the branch head at Fort Garry Library, and it's been a successful evening for me already because I made it up here without falling over. So.
A good book can carry me away from an average and ordinary day, yeah. So keep it down, leave me alone, close the doors and turn off the phone, 'cause all I ever really need is a little more time to read.
And you, dear readers, we are so happy to be doing this here tonight with you. It's your questions and comments that form the heart of our discussions, so make us laugh or make us cry by emailing us at wpl-podcast.winnipeg.ca. Leave a comment on our website, wpl-podcast.winnipeg.ca, or find us on Facebook. You'll be able to find a recording of tonight's episode by subscribing to Time to Read on iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcasting service. In a moment, Erica will provide a brief history of the Time to Read podcast, just in case you don't know who we are or why we're here.
I'm interested in hearing that, too.
A little bit later on, we will welcome special musical guests Fun Life to the stage. Woo!
Woo! Fun Life!
We'll end the show with a special segment we like to call Nerd Words for Word Nerds. But right now I'm going to kick it over to Trevor, who will explain what those little pieces of paper on your tables are for.
Right. Well, part of the thing that we like to do at the Time to Read podcast is connect with our audience out there in the wide world. So most of the time it's through social media. But tonight, we're all in the same room. So I just wanted to just get to know you guys a little bit. So how many here are from out of town? Is anyone from? Hey! Awesome.
Right on.
Where are you guys from? Calgary.
Wow.
That's wonderful. How many of you have listened to at least one episode of Time to Read? Oh, okay, that's great.
Oh.
How many of you are super fans and heard every episode? Oh, it's my mom. My mom is clapping. And how many are here just because it's Tuesday night and you thought you'd come for a beer and you're like, what the hell's going on? Hey, all right, awesome. You're welcome too. So on everyone's table, there's a little ballot, and what we're asking you to do sometime in the first half is to tell us what your favorite childhood character is from a book. Tell us what the book is too, because we may not know that book. And also, we have a trivia question. We'd like you to take your best shot at multiple choice. We're going to do a little quiz in the second half, and we'll incorporate the answer into that. And then finally, we want to hear what your nerd words are. So if you have a word that you love, you have a word that's just on the tip of your tongue, or a word that you're just thinking about, just write it down. It can be anything, maybe a little reason why you're thinking of it, or just the word, and then we'll collect those up at the beginning of the intermission. If you don't have a slip, feel free to grab one off the tables, or I have a few up here. You can just come up and grab one if you like. And so now I'm going to turn it over to Erica.
Oh, my turn. I'm not prepared. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's right. Whenever we need a break when we're recording, if somebody starts like talking and has to restart, we just hold our fists up like that. So we might do it automatically.
Yeah, we have no safety net
just
tonight.
so you know what. Okay, anyway. So, about time to read. Starting with a Facebook post in May 2016, TTR is now celebrating its first year of existence as an actual thing. We are a monthly book club that transcends time and space, as it is in the form of a podcast. With 14 episodes so far and an average of the equivalent of about 500 full downloads a month.
A month. We are thrilled to be an alternative book club for people like me who don't do, well, book clubs. Listen anytime through your website or through our website or your favorite podcast app, and participate in the discussion at any time through email, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Since our first episode dropped in February 2018, we've popped up in Library Journal, the Manitoba Library Conference, and the American Library Association Conference. We've had shout-outs on Twitter by some of the authors when we've done one of their books. We've partnered with wonderful local organization Black Space Winnipeg, and now we're doing our first live show.
Woo!
And yes, we do acknowledge the irony of creating a book club where people don't have to show up at a certain time and place and then asking them to show up at a certain time and place. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
Okay, so we're here to discuss children's books.
Oh.
Or kids' books.
Kids' books.
Fancy that.
How do we start?
Well, we had a lot of people write in on social media, and one of the things I noticed is that no one has a very clear definition on what kids' books are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when we were initially discussing this, we were thinking of picture books as kids' books, but we got a lot of juvenile novels as well. People writing in that those were their favorites, things like Swiss Family Robinson, or
some of the ones that I thought up immediately as favorite children's books are kind of more classified as YA now. I found out.
Yeah, because I forgot that we had first said that we would do picture books. So, like...
Yeah, we had, eh?
I never really was clear on what we were doing.
He just shows up and tells stories.
So that being said, what are your guys' favorite kids' books?
Should we start with ours and then do the listener submissions kind of thing?
Let's do it.
Okay. I'll just go because I'm talking anyway?
Yep.
Okay. So that's how we normally do things. So my ultimate all-time kids' favorite book is There's No Such Thing as a Dragon by Jack Kent. Is anybody familiar? Yes? No? So,
Smattering of applause.
It's this here.
From the librarians.
It's a fairly simple book, but it's basically about this little boy named Billy Bixby who wakes up one morning and there's a little dragon in his house, and his mom denies the dragon is there. And so throughout the day, the dragon gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and she's still saying, no, there's no dragon. And he's saying, yes, there is a dragon. Until at the end, it's so big that it fills his house and runs away. And the main point of it is all he has to do is acknowledge the dragon's existence and give it a pat on the head, and then it shrinks down. And I don't know, it shrinks down to the size of a kitten. And I'm not sure why, as a kid, I mean, probably just wanting to have a tiny dragon sounded really good. But as a grown-up, like, I use this book all the time. I used it in conversation the other day about something where it was like an emotion or something, like really deep, where we were like, all you have to do is acknowledge its existence and it does not such a big deal anymore. Aww. So yeah, that was my number one book.
Nice.
And I'm happy at least a couple people knew what I was talking about. Yeah.
Well, I didn't do really a children's book or a picture book because I forgot that's what we were doing. And also, too, the whole choosing your favorite anything I find super difficult. Like when people ask, oh, you went on vacation, what was your favorite thing? I have a very, very hard time coming up with it. But since I have to, I came up with the Secret Seven series by Enid Blyton. Which, written in the 1950s... Thank you, Trevor.
I've heard it.
Written in the 1950s, fairly problematic now when you read it in 2019.
Oh, just wait till my pick.
Oh, my gosh. I'm worried. But the Secret Seven, they were this like gang of kids that solved mysteries. And what I loved was they had clubhouses and everyone had to pay a due, and they had to buy snacks, and they bought things like ginger beer and rock buns and treacle, and I didn't know what it was, but I wanted to do it. And so then my little gang in my neighborhood, then we would also have a clubhouse or a fort fort, and I tried to get money out of them so we could buy snacks too and solve mysteries. But were there any general's medals that had gone missing or lost puppies? And I tried to get everyone to write it down in their little notepads. It didn't really work that great. Although in our little small town, we lived in a small town in Germany, and there was a bunker from World War II a little ways down the way. And so we would bike down there, and there's like barbed wire fence around it. And so we found a way underneath, and I was convinced, I'm not sure if we actually saw a skeleton or we just assumed there was a skeleton there. So then it was like the mystery of the skeleton. But yes.
Are you sure you didn't
But then
read
our
that
parents
in a
found
book?
out, and then we weren't allowed to go back to the bunker and solve the mystery. So I know, Dad.
Thanks,
The
Dad.
world would have been such a better place had you been allowed to solve those mysteries.
And then write a book about it.
Secret 7.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. I was trying to live that life.
Well, I have a bit of a visual aid for my pick.
Oh, there was something underneath the sweater.
Can anybody see this?
Tintin.
Yeah, Tintin, everybody. Now, I know, speaking of problematic, was the creator Hergé a bad man? Who's to say? Are some of the images in the comics culturally insensitive?
Yes.
Definitely. But still, Tintin left a huge impression on my life. Not least of which was there were so many books that I actually created before I knew the word database. I created kind of a taxonomy of the books where I knew exactly, okay, this is the episode that Captain Haddock appeared in first, or Rastapopoulos, the villain, is in this one, but he's also in this one, and this one doesn't have so and so. So I made like a little chart in a notebook where I kept track, because I didn't actually own them at the time. I borrowed them from the library, the St. James Library, growing up, and so I just I made a small list of things I learned from reading Tintin. They're not in any order, and they're not necessarily funny, so don't feel obligated to laugh at all of them. Maps are cool.
True.
Chloroform is readily available and is super effective. You can make friends wherever you go.
Aw.
Don't burn bridges. And I'm referring to when Tintin befriended General Alcazar when he was just a revolutionary, and that paid dividends a few books later when he became a dictator and got them out of a tight spot. Also, don't be politically dogmatic. He's a dictator, but he's his pal. Fox terriers are really smart, and they sound like this when they bark. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The world is a super interesting and sometimes very dangerous place. Sometimes opium is smuggled in cans of crab meat. And then this last one. Exciting adventures usually begin with something small. Like this podcast. And I just have one quick anecdote about Tintin. One time about, 20 years ago, and my mom can vouch for this story, we were coming back across the border, in Vermont or something, and we were stopped at the border, and the border guard was going through our stuff, tearing everything apart, and then opened my bag, and on top of it was a Tintin t-shirt, which I had bought in Montreal a few days before. And she looked up, and she's like, Tintin? And I was like, yeah. And then she smiled, and she zipped up my bag. You may go.
I thought you were going to say that you had a can of crab meat, and they were like, let's get this guy in the back. Open that up.
Oh, boy.
Okay. So here at Time to Read, we like to go on emotional roller coasters. So off that nice high there.
Let's bring it down.
Let's bring it down. So my book that I came to talk about, if you may not have noticed, I also wore a T-shirt. Apparently, these two did not get the memo.
We didn't get the memo about the T-shirt.
So mine's the Pokey Little Puppy, which I don't actually have any fond memories of, but it was my mom's favorite book, and I knew that growing up that it was her favorite book. So unfortunately, she lost her battle with cancer a couple years ago before she could actually ever hear any of the episodes of this podcast. So she did hear some of the early demos that we did, so I was very, very happy that she was able to hear those before she passed away. But her favorite book was The Pokey Little Puppy, so that's why I have this T-shirt, and that's why I wear it.
Yay, Mom!
Aww.
So I want to dedicate this this podcast to all the moms out there who read books to their kids, and dads who read books to their kids,
and godmoms.
And people who read books to kids. Because without people reading books to kids, I would not be where I am today.
Yep, same. Actually, one of the books that it took me a while to clue into, but when we get into everybody, I actually forgot there was an audience there, so I'm sorry. It totally freaked me out just now. Anyway, one of the there seemed to me to be a theme in a lot of our submissions in like mysteries and clubs and girl detectives especially, and I also wanted to, and just speaking of moms, one of the series that my mom got me hooked on was Trixie Belden, and you don't hear about Trixie Belden a lot, so I just want to give a shout out to Trixie Belden because that was awesome. Those are awesome books.
Good one. Yeah.
Funny you should mention that. One of our listeners wrote in, and she was talking about series that she liked, and she said, this is from Melanie, she says, looking at all these series, I apparently liked books about teenagers, particularly independent girls, saving the world and struggling with morality issues with lots of magic and talking animals on the side. And one of her series was Animorphs. So.
Oh, sure, yeah, there's lots of those. I remember there was in the corner, right? You would it was like a flip book, right? And you would flip it, and it would turn the dude would turn into an animal, and then back again. I think.
Yeah.
Is that right? Does anyone remember that?
Okay, good.
Thank you very much.
Can we talk about?
Yes.
Talk about Carol writing
Yes.
in. And not only did she write in with a beautiful little email about her favorite character, but she also photocopied a page from her diary
This is the
from 1967. And it's basically about the books that she has been reading. And that
1967 or
1977. I'm sorry, 77.
Don't want to alienate our audience here.
I was about to say.
In other words, she's quite old.
1977, August 30th, Tuesday, 1977. Yeah, and so she lists a bunch of books. Obviously, she was very into Reader's Advisory even then. She said, hi, I'll be going back to school again pretty soon, but I really wanted to tell you of these good books I've been reading. I want to write them down somewhere so I won't forget them. I thought you'd be pretty good. I want to remember them because I like them so much. Even if I ever have children, I'd like girls. These books would be good to read to them or read to themselves. So here they are. Zelpha Keatley Snyder's books, The Changeling, the best one, The Witches of Worm, and All Between, Below the Root, The Kingdom and the Cave, Midnight is a Place by Joan Aiken. Not quite finished the second one. These are some of the books I've really enjoyed. Joan Aiken's books would be good books to read to little kids, but I like them too. Thanks, Carol, for sharing that. I hope that's okay that I read out the page from your journal.
She sent it in
live on the
so
podcast. Anyway, just the best.
Yeah, if you send anything into us, you give up all your rights, just to let you know.
Unless you bold and underlined and said, this is not to be read aloud on the thing.
Another comment I wouldn't mind highlighting, it was written on our Facebook page from Sonia Ballantyne. And I sort of know her a little bit for the better part of a decade. We've been friends on Twitter. She's a local filmmaker, but she's also a fellow U2 fan, which is kind of how I met her. And so this is what she wrote, that her favorite book was The Hobbit. I read it for the first time when I was like 6. I remember how much I thought hobbits were Cree, like me, and was so angry in grade 5 when the book cover my teacher had showed Bilbo as a non-Cree. I also thought my Uncle Clarence got my powwow feather for my regalia from the Lord of the Eagles in The Hobbit.
I love
Thanks, Sonia.
I love that.
One of my favorite comments comes from Mandy from Facebook, and her recommendation was Matilda by Roald Dahl, which she says she is currently reading to her daughter for selfish reasons. So I guess that's one of the great things you can do as a parent, is you can just take all your favorite children's book and read them to your kids. Since I don't have kids, I can't speak to that, but Erica and Kirsten, is that something you would do?
Yes. And Trevor.
Yes.
Yeah, my daughter's seen a couple of Tintins.
Yep.
I didn't ever read any Secret Seven to Isaac, but yeah.
Yeah, I keep trying to read this series to my kid. She's 4, but she's going to be years and years. But I keep trying every once in a while anyway. It's called Dealing with Dragons by Patricia C. Reed. It's the Enchanted Forest Chronicles. And it's amazing, and I think she'll love it, but she's only 4, so she's not ready for it yet. She will love it. Yeah.
The Enchanted Forest Chronicles is awesome.
Right?
Yeah, so good.
Thank you.
So Benjig from Instagram writes in. She liked Madeline, and she said, I loved how she was so spunky and brave. I convinced my mom to sew me a Madeline Halloween costume when I was a 23-year-old adult. So if you're going to teach your kids how to read, you should also teach them how to sew.
Yeah, Madeline's one of those books we read so many times, I'm pretty sure I still know it off by heart. I'm pretty
And go.
How does it start?
Prove it.
Does anybody remember? In a small house in Paris that was covered with vines lived 12 little girls in 2 straight lines. In 2 straight lines, they broke their bread, they brushed their teeth, and went to bed. Should I keep going?
What is even happening?
What?
Well, there's people in the
They'll
audience
just
are saying it
do
with
it.
you. Wow.
Yeah, it's good.
That's great. I just want to make a special mention, because it's probably not in the social media ones, but our editor and producer and sound man, Dennis, he sent his childhood recommendations in, and one of them was the 3 Investigators series, which I totally read too. It was these 3 kids in Southern California, and for some reason they met up with Alfred Hitchcock, and he would give them mysteries to solve. And they had like a clubhouse in this junkyard that had secret passages, and yeah, there was a lot of stories. They were super great. Does anyone else remember the 3 Investigators? Yeah, so there, 3 Investigators.
Good one.
Thanks, everybody.
It's all about solving mysteries, hey?
It's, like Boxcar Children is
Yep.
still around and being asked for all the time. Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew.
Yeah.
Like, these are all still...
Yeah, and that came up a lot too, yeah.
Yeah. Nancy Drew came up a bunch.
Cool. Can we talk about back to picture books for a second?
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't pick my favorite picture book because I honestly can't really think of picture books that I read when I was like really little. Like I remember the juvenile fiction, but I don't remember any of the picture books that I actually read. And I don't think I actually grew to appreciate them until I was older. Mm. And then obviously, you get into things like Where the Wild Things Are. And, there's been other books that I've liked, like Rules of Summer, but I don't have any fond memories as a child of picture books. And I'm wondering, am I alone in this, or do you guys have...
I just think it's just because I'm old. That's why, I can't remember the picture books. I remember the picture books.
That was my other.
That's
big
what you were going to say to
yeah.
me.
No, that was my big fear.
Because I remember the picture books that I read to my son. I remember what I really remember, from my parents and especially my mother, is the act of reading aloud. And my mother reading to me, and she had Stories with Sharon on CBC Whitehorse, and so it was also this magical thing that she would be in this box reading to us, but then she would also be there in the kitchen as well. Wow. So that was this kind of crazy thing. But so I don't actually remember an actual picture book that she would read aloud, but I just remember her reading to us, whether it was in the car or on the radio.
I remember one story that stands out now. Is this one called Leo the Late Bloomer, which I think became like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because I'm not sure if I've bloomed even yet.
You're blooming.
Am I blooming?
You're blooming.
Thanks, Erica.
Here tonight. It's happening.
This is the night I bloom. Watch out, world.
Nobody pick Trevor tonight.
Oh, I get it. Oh, dear.
So, also, this came in from email from Amy. And
Amy!
Yes. I don't suppose
Is Amy here tonight?
I knew this would get them started.
She has been commenting on every single podcast right from the very beginning.
Great answers to the questions that we
Big,
put
long,
out there.
Yeah, heartfelt. So we were hoping to see her here and meet her, but oh well.
One day.
One day, Amy. Not to scare you.
So her pick was The Witches by Roald Dahl. Like so many Roald Dahl suggestions or write-ins, but she said that she liked anything that was fantastical and rewarded using your imagination, or better yet, made you hope that because you like to read like Matilda, maybe you could develop superhero powers too. So reading, it's a superpower.
You should have a T-shirt.
You should have a t-shirt.
I know, obviously.
I have a t-shirt.
See,
these pauses are what's edited out of the
Yeah, don't worry about these pauses at all.
Actually,
these are perfectly natural.
because now it's all going to become really clear to you that when you actually hear the podcast and it sounds so, that we're like on it, it's actually just edits.
If you download this a week from now, we're not going to sound like a bunch of dinguses. We're going to sound really smart.
We should do this applause for Dennis, our sound producer, wherever he is. He's the best.
Dennis, who also wrote and recorded our theme song that you heard at the beginning.
And didn't he also design our logo, the clock logo?
Who also designed our logo,
So really does all of the
What would we do
actual
without
work.
Dennis?
What would we do without Dennis?
So before we intermission, do you guys want to know what like the number one write-in for favorite children's book was?
Oh,
Any guesses?
I could guess.
You can yell out from the audience too. We don't
guesses?
mind.
Harry Potter.
No,
Actually,
surprisingly, no one wrote in Harry Potter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Funny.
So the Velveteen Rabbit was.
Oh,
yeah.
Too soon. Too soon. I don't know. That book hurt me as a child.
Oh, too soon for Trevor. Too soon for Trevor.
Okay. Well. And with that, to play us into and out of our intermission with their 90s-inspired electro-pop tunes about missed phone calls, shared cigarettes, and messy breakups, Fun Life, featuring Winnipeg Public Library's own Brittany Thiessen.
Woo!
We know what we wanna do, be alone, just me and you. Stay here till the last one's through. We know how to clear a room. Did you mean to touch me there? Run your hands out through my hair. When the others stop and stare, don't you know it makes me scared?
All right, everybody. So we're going to have about a 15-minute break. And if you haven't filled in those ballots on the table, you can do that now because I'm going to be coming around and collecting them up.
All right, everybody. We're getting ready to start again. And please welcome back to the stage, Fun Life.
It's getting cold in here. I think I know what's going on. You said that you don't want to do this no more. You say you feel alone. I can understand. No one ever offered you a helping hand. But now I'm trying me. I said, Mia, I need you to call me back. Fighting, fighting, fighting to keep us on track. You say you're on your own, you're misunderstood. I think that man of yours is up to no good. Does he really know all the weight you bear? And does he ever offer to take a share? Or does he hurt you, Mia? I said, Mia, I need you to call me back. Fighting, fighting, fighting to keep us on track. Mia, I need you to call me back. Fighting, fighting, fighting to keep us on track. I don't know what else to do except to give up on you. I think you've given up too. It's time for somebody new. But I keep begging you, Mia, I need you to call me back. Fighting, fighting, fighting to keep us on track. Mia, I need you to call me back. Fighting, 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 fighting. I've been fighting, 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 fighting. I've been fighting, 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 fighting. Thank you.
Brittany Thiessen and Fun Life. And you can find Brittany at the Idea Mill downtown, where you can also find Dennis, our sound guy. And I think, is Brittany still doing the Music Mondays?
Make Music Mondays?
Make
Yeah.
Music Mondays? Yeah.
Make Music Mondays.
There's like sound booths down there. You can record your own music, all sorts of fun stuff. Anyway.
Yeah, our regular equipment is the shared equipment with the Idea Mill.
That's right.
Yeah,
podcast
our regular
equipment. Yep.
microphones and stuff.
Yeah, high tech, low tech, middle tech. The Idea Mill has it all.
What's middle tech, Trevor?
Sewing machines?
Sewing machines. Yeah. Yeah, I guess
Hole
that's
punches.
hole punch. It's tech.
Okay, so are you guys ready for Battle of the Books?
Yes!
It's upside down.
I'm glad you guys are ready because I don't know if I'm ready.
I know I don't quite understand how this is going, but...
Well, I don't either. And I was reading the schedule today, and they're like, "You're doing Battle of the Books, Alan." And I was like, "Whoa, how is this going to work?"
It's kind of like March Madness for basketball, but it's a lot smaller scale, and it's book characters.
So it's just like sports, everybody.
Sports, but with book characters.
Go sports.
Find us on ESPN 3.
Yeah.
27.
So what we did during the intermission is we took your suggestions so that you could be involved. So we asked, tell us your all-time favorite character from a children's book, why, and which book are they from, just in case we don't know the book. And so what each of us did is we picked a character that we're going to champion, and we're going to take this character and we're going to sell them to you, and then you're going to applause when Erica explains her character, when Trevor explains his character, when Kirsten explains her character. And then when I explain my character, you're going to applause even louder. So through the power of applause, we will crown a winner.
So,
and it's really scientific because Dennis is out there in the crowd with an applausometer. So he is the official judge.
Yeah,
so
there he is.
What Dennis says goes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so what it'll be is we'll say all 4 characters.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're going to be paired up.
Yeah.
So by applause, 1 of 2 will triumph, and then 1 of 2 will triumph, and then the top 2 will go head to head.
And then that will determine the number, like the best children's book character ever, decided by you. This isn't up to us. This is you.
Yeah, it's nothing we can do.
It's very scientific.
Yes. And binding.
You want to go first?
Okay. I don't know.
You guys first.
Okay, I'll go first. Okay.
Yeah, if you want to, I can go first.
I'll go first.
Okay.
So mine was written in by Mickey, and it's Ferdinand the Bull. And Mickey says Ferdinand the Bull because he is totally chill and does his own thing without being pressured into pleasing others. It's okay to be you and me. So, Ferdinand the Bull.
So we're not applauding yet.
No, not yet. Yeah. You certainly don't applaud now, but you can.
You need to make an educated guess.
So you might be able to guess which character I have. Marla put this one in, and I didn't pick it just because she's my wife. But I did pick it because it was one of the few characters I actually knew that you guys wrote. And you guys got some kind of deep cuts out there. I didn't know half of them. So for those that don't know, it's Wilbur from Charlotte's Web. And Wilbur is the best character because we can all relate to him. He's kind of a simpleton. He's kind of a boob. He doesn't have a lot of talent of his own. He really rides the coattails of Charlotte. And you know what? He never really gets it, does he? He's kind of in this existential kind of, is he going to be eaten? Is he not? No one knows. He goes to the fair. So, Wilbur.
So Trevor,
the everyman.
Would you say he never really bloomed?
Exactly right. Wilbur and Leo, kindreds. So I guess now we'll have the official vote.
Yes.
So
by round of applause, who votes for Ferdinand the Bull, pacifist?
And who votes for Wilbur? Dennis?
It goes to Wilbur.
Oh!
Round 1 goes to Wilbur.
Okay, mine comes from Nadia, and it is Elizabeth, the paper bag princess. Total feminist badass rocks a paper bag. And I have been known to rock a paper bag for Halloween as the paper bag princess. And yeah, that's a bum, by the way.
Visual
I drew a bum
aid.
up there too, and a crown. Bum and a crown.
Okay, so mine comes from a total badass feminist named Marilyn. I actually don't know Marilyn, but I'm assuming that.
Oh, she's a badass feminist.
So she wrote Tiki Tiki Tembo, and I like how she did she didn't give an explanation. It was just Tiki Tiki Tembo, mic drop. Right there. But it's Tiki Tiki Tembo, no Sarembo, Cherry Berry, Ruchi Pip, Perry Pembo. And if that isn't enough to get you belting out from the bottom of your lungs, then I don't know what is.
All right.
Should we vote?
So we're going to go for it.
So first, Paper Bag Princess.
The bum! Ronald was such a bum.
Now you have to say it again.
Tiki Tiki Tembo, No So Rambo, Cherry Perry, Ruchi Pip, Perry Pembo.
Okay. He's making the whole
skewing
applause
the
meter go
results.
What does
and also it was all Maryland. I saw her in the front.
what does Dennis have to say?
Yeah, what does Dennis say?
It goes to the Paper Bag Princess.
Whoa!
Yay. Okay.
Ooh.
So now it's down to a princess or a pig.
I think they should get another chance to each plead their case
before.
Let's get deep down into the how much can we talk about these
I don't
characters.
know. Trevor kind of covered it all.
E.B. White, he never won a Newbery Medal. Interesting. He got a Newbery honor for Charlotte's Web. I'm not sure how that helps my cause.
A Newbery Medal.
Yeah, but you can relate more to those that don't win, right? Because you feel like, we're not. How many of out here, won a Newbery Medal? I haven't. I relate more to this guy. That's all I'm saying.
Feminist badass. Mic drop.
She beats a dragon.
Are we ready to vote?
Yeah, there's the dragon. Yeah.
There's the dragon.
Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
All right.
Okay.
That's enough.
Who votes for Wilbur?
Tepid.
They're respectable.
Tepid. And the Paper Bag Princess. Dennis.
Do we need to ask Dennis?
That was really close. But by a sliver, the Paper Bag Princess.
Thank you, Nadia. You are the winner. And you win all the glory.
All the glory, and we're kind of probably going to do something with this at some point. Stay tuned. Watch our Facebook page.
If you wanna record a shout out on our podcast, we'd let you do that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Let's record her tonight.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, good.
See if she's
That's
right
a good
away.
idea.
I also just want to make an honorable mention to Nancy Drew from Megan because she said, because Nancy Drew beat up a ballerina.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I thought, man, that was pretty great.
If we're giving shout outs, I also want to give a shout out to Tom Hall, who said Miss Jules from Sideways Stories from Wayside School. Classic. I learned that if you drop a computer and a feather from the same height, they hit the ground at the same time because gravity from that book.
Wow.
So now we're going to segue into this next section. It's going to be a bit of a quiz. And so everyone knows that people who use libraries and work in libraries are super intelligent. I think, everyone here. And I don't know really very many more super intelligent people than the three people here that I get to have fun with every month. But we're going to put them to the test because it's the quiz that I'm going to deliver to them. 3 rounds. Each person gets 1 round.
What Trevor doesn't know is that I also know some very smart people in the audience, so I'm
I'm gonna totally call a friend.
Well, I mean, these are multiple choice. So,
good. Okay.
So there's 3 rounds. Each round has a theme. The first theme round is called "What Year Are We In?" So the way that this works is I will give each person 3 clues, and you have to guess the year out of 3 years.
Oh, so it's not 2019.
I had it. I was like,
No.
I got this.
All right, Kirsten, the first question to you. In this year, the character Harry Potter was born, the Rubik's Cube went on sale, and The Paper Bag Princess by Robert Munsch was published.
no.
Was it 1978, 1980, or 1982?
What?
The same year that...
Can we cheat?
And Harry Potter?
The character Harry Potter was born.
Sorry. Okay.
Like in the Harry Potter world, he goes to Hogwarts when he's 11 or whatever,
right,
but he's
right.
born
82.
at some point.
1982.
I'm sorry, it was actually 1980.
Oh, that was really close.
It was very close, but then all the choices were close, weren't they?
Yeah.
All right, Alan. In this year, everyone's favorite. Well, I shouldn't say this. A popular shopping site, Amazon, was founded.
Okay.
The Scotiabank Giller Prize was first awarded. And Madeleine L'Engle published the 5th and final book in her Austen family series called Troubling a Star. So Amazon, Giller Prize,
I can give you options.
Madeline L'Engle.
Oh, right.
And these are the options. Was it 1994, 1996, or 1999?
2019. Final answer. It was 1999.
It was 94.
These are hard.
All right.
I know, these are like all so close. Like,
All right.
There should be one
So,
like 1936.
Erica,
1992.
in this year, the paperclip was patented by a Norwegian, Johan Valler. 3 Denver newspapers published a story about the Chinese government planning to demolish the Great Wall.
This is mean.
It didn't happen, you guys. It's fake news. And beloved children's author E.B. White, who wrote Charlotte's Web, and beloved non-children's author Ernest Hemingway were both born in this year. So the birth year of E.B. White and Ernest Hemingway, the Denver newspapers, all 3 of them, weirdly enough, published a story about the Chinese government destroying the Great Wall. I don't really know the story behind that. And the paperclip was patented. Was it 1899, 1909, or 1919?
I'm going to say 1899.
Correct.
Oh!
Very good.
Sure, give her the easy one.
I feel like it was
After the first round, I might need Dance's help. I think it's 1 to Erica. 0-0. Okay, round 2 is called Cluck Cluck Moo. All these questions have to do with animals that appear in children's books.
Favorite.
So,
Animals.
Kirsten, the first one goes to you. The Curious George series,
Yes.
originally published in 1941 by a husband and wife team, H.A. Ray and Margaret Ray, published only 7 titles in H.A. Ray's lifetime. Now there's like hundreds of them. So which of the following is not one of the original 7? Okay.
She
first
just wants to name an animal, Trevor. Just let her say an animal.
Curious George rides
He's
a bicycle.
monkey.
He's not a monkey.
He's an ape.
Hey, I'm the quiz master here, you guys. Curious George rides a bicycle. Curious George goes to the hospital. Curious George makes pancakes.
Yeah, I think it's the pancakes.
That's right.
Yes. Thank you.
I mean, he does
I
make
knew it, though. I
pancakes,
knew
but
it.
not later on, like after
but
his
not the
creator
original.
dies, he feels liberated to make pancakes. Okay, Alan, which of the following is an actual title of a children's picture book about dinosaurs? So I'm going to give you 3 titles, and which one is actually a title of a real book? Hey, is that an asteroid? B, all my friends are dead. Or C, small arms, big teeth, the T-Rex story.
2019.
It's not an option.
No,
Would you like...
B, all my friends are dead.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I was really bummed out that WPL didn't actually have a copy of this, but, I wanted to show it off. It's sort of like, if you're a dinosaur, then all your friends are dead. If you're a pirate, then all your friends have scurvy, and that kind of goes on like that. So, Erica, there's a book called The Sheep Pig by Dick King Smith, published in 1983. Oh, okay, someone know. All right, you might have help. The titular character is so named because, A, it is half pig, half sheep. It is a sheep that eats like a pig, or it is a pig that thinks it's a shepherd.
Which one? 3.
Correct. And if I told you that the pig's name was Babe, this was the book that the movie Babe was turned into. So
That'll do, pig.
Okay.
That'll do.
So after this round, everyone has 1 point, and Erica has a point with a little asterisk because she got help from the audience.
She got help that
Okay.
time.
I knew it though.
The third and final round is called Awards and Runners Up.
This is really stressful.
Kirsten. I know. This will also give you a bit of information, too, about children's book awards. So the Caldecott Medal, which is given out for illustrations, American book published, best illustrations, American Library Association, every midwinter. This year's 2019. I should be giving this question to Alan. What was this year's Caldecott winner? Was it called A, Hello Gorgeous, B, Hello Lighthouse, or C, Hello Goodbye?
Is that Hullo, Hullo?
No, it's all spelled the conventional Hello.
Okay. Hello, Lighthouse.
That's correct.
I knew that one.
By-
I'm a librarian.
By Susan Blackall. It's great. If anyone wants to see pictures of lighthouses, that's the one to pick up.
Right on.
The Geisel Award is one of the newest awards. It began in 2006, named for Theodore Geisel, a.k.a. Dr. Seuss, for the best beginning reader book. So, Ellen, in 2013, the winner of the Geisel Award was A, Up, Tall, and High, B, Tall, Dark, and Handsome, or C, Tall, Round, and Blue.
I want to go with Tall, Dark, and Handsome because that's me. But I'm going to go with C, Tall, Dark, and Blue.
No, Up, Tall, and High was the one. But that's hard. No one. What? These are like the Academy Awards for like it was
Sound mixing?
Short or something. No one seems to know these ones. That's all right. And now Erica, the last one. Okay. This is the Newbery Medal, the big one, spelt with one R. Everybody remember that.
This is for the win, right?
This is
if
yes.
my math is correct.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Right. So only 5 authors have won the Newbery Medal more than once. Only 5 in the history of it, which has been around for, let's say, 80 years.
800 years.
So who won the Newbery Medal more than once? Was it A, C.S. Lewis, B, Judy Blume, or C, Lois Lowry?
Oh.
I'm going to say B.
It was Lois Lowry.
Oh, I should have asked
For
the
A Number of the
audience.
Stars and The Giver. So, yeah.
So who's the winner?
So it's a tie.
Oh.
Everybody's a winner because you're here tonight. And one last question was the one that you all filled in, the multiple choice question about which author.
Can we do this one by applause?
Sure, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So some good answers. Some of your answers were correct.
A lot of your answers were correct.
Yeah.
Actually.
So just by show of hands, who thought it was A? For those that didn't read the question, what it was is we've had some kind of fun interactions with different authors on social media over the last year, where they tweeted us or they go on our Instagram or something. And so out of the authors that we've read in that list, 3 of them we've had kind of interactions with. 1 we didn't. So we wanted you to tell us the one that we didn't have an interaction with. So
you can also scream and cheer while you raise your hand.
Yeah, that's
of course,
good for the podcast.
Yeah. So A, Neil Gaiman. Okay. B, I don't have them in front of me. Margaret Atwood.
For Oryx and Craig.
Oh, yeah. C, Rainbow Roll.
No, D.
D, I don't have it in front of me. C is Cory Doctorow.
Walk
Yeah.
away.
No, okay. And then D, Rainbow Roll.
Yeah.
So most people seem
They
to
knew.
guess
Either
Neil
Neil
Gaiman
Gaiman
or Margaret
or-
Atwood. And
Winning at
yeah,
answer is
you go. Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman.
Which is surprising because he's super active on social media. So I don't know, but
That's weird that he
Maybe
would
he
like
did-
not like.
He's busy with his show.
He just doesn't know where Winnipeg is.
he's been to Winnipeg.
He still doesn't know where it is.
It was really quite scary when Margaret Atwood actually retweeted our very first tweet about our very first
Yeah, we
podcast.
didn't even have a podcast
and we
yet.
thought, oh my gosh,
It was
is she
our
gonna
very
listen?
first book.
Yeah, so it was pretty
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah, pretty exciting.
Terrifying.
Yeah. So that's it. That's the
right.
quiz. Thanks, everybody.
Yay!
It's time for Fun Life.
It's time for Fun Life. So,
One more time.
Fun Life, one more time. They will make you want to both dance and cry.
Oh, Fun Life.
And then we'll be right back.
Fuck the best laid plans. How did I make you mad? Can't you for having us. Have a good night.
Go like them on Facebook.
Yay.
Fun Life.
Thank you so much, Fun Life,
Yeah,
for
that
coming.
was so great. So fun.
So fun.
So life.
So life.
Bye.
I'm glad someone found that funny.
We have a lovely audience. Yeah.
Oh, do I have my
So
thing?
we're gonna launch into our final segment.
My favorite part of every episode.
The best part of every episode. Nerd words for word nerds. And while these guys get ready, I'm just going to talk about an interaction that I had with someone before the show. And they were discussing what makes a nerd word as opposed to a regular word. There is no difference. The Venn diagrams overlap. Any word can be a nerd word. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
ready. We're ready.
We're a little mixed up because normally we all have
our own.
nerd words,
Yes.
but tonight we're kind of compiling your nerd words.
Really good nerd
And
words.
we got papers. I don't know. So.
We got papers, we have things to do.
Yeah, so I mean, okay, I'll just read out a couple, I guess. I don't know how garbage fire apparently is somebody's word.
That's it.
Integral. So many ways to pronounce it.
Milk toast. And actually, I had a library regular. Oh, I can't remember his name, but he was my geography teacher in high school, and that was one of his favorite words was milk toast.
Milk toast. I didn't even think that was a real word.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's
Now, now I know.
Yeah.
Also, not real words, still nerd words.
Yeah. I have
Yes.
a word. This is fun. I can't pronounce it.
Do you want to pass it around?
Petrichor?
Megan?
Megan.
Petrichor. Do you want to tell us what that means? The smell after it rains.
That's a good one.
That's good.
Let's
I
remember
like
that.
It's a good
Yeah,
smell.
Remy wrote, okay, at first, I thought it was masturbate. But it's
Oh my God, Remy, come on now.
It's masticate. A word you chew while saying. Masticate.
It sounds like what it is.
Masticate. Not masturbate.
Does anybody know the word for when a word sounds like what it is? Says it's a good word.
Onomatopoeia.
There you go. Mine for my word for nerd for tonight was going to be brilliant because it sounds like what it is. It's brilliant.
Brilliant.
Okay. Anyway.
Well, another great word, Tom Hall has written phenomenal. He says he uses it a lot. He's very positive. And then realistically, he probably uses it to describe it to too many things. But still, I like where your head's at. Phenomenal.
Wasn't that an LL Cool J song? Something like a phenomenal?
Phenomenal.
I know it's phenomenon, just for the record.
But for the sake of the joke, let's pretend. Yeah.
That reminds me of that joke about what does LL Bean stand for? Ladies love bean? Is that, no?
That's surprisingly deep, Trevor.
This one is really long. Lame, pronounced lame. It has many uses, from a teenager's response to a parent's to something just not cool to clothing, such as this lame explanation. And this has been edited by somebody else because it was edited because it was too lame. Anyway, lame. I don't even think that's a real word.
It's still good.
Okay, it's still good though.
It's still good.
Still
good
a
job.
nerd word.
Okay,
Still
it was my
nerd word.
sister, so I'm allowed to say it was not even a real word.
Okay. Tickety boo.
Oh, sure.
Good
Yes.
one.
Mickey's dad used it. It sounds happy, so it reflects its meaning. Tickety boo.
I just want to make a mention that Eva took the time to fill it in by saying, I don't have one, sorry. Don't worry about it,
right.
Eva. You don't have to. We're just happy you're here. Appreciate the effort.
No pressure.
Maybe, if you could come up with one, you can let us know afterwards.
Just a hint for next time, sorry could be your nerd word.
Oh.
Sorry was my nerd word, like 2 episodes ago.
right.
See, it works. Quixotic, right? Literary origin of that one. Its definition is perfect and also worth so much in Scrabble. So thank you. And curmudgeon.
It's
It's
a
just
good
a
word.
good
It's a good
word.
word.
Yeah.
Rhyme, R-I-M-E, because I didn't know there was a literary term for frost coating a cold object.
Rhyme.
Uh-huh.
Rhyme. I didn't know.
I didn't know that either.
Is that what hoarfrost is?
I guess so.
Maybe.
Another word?
Maybe there's 2 words for one
Yeah.
thing.
So is that all the audience nerd words?
Yes.
Well, I have one word.
You have-
Okay.
Serendipity, but no explanation. So
Oh, I almost wrote serendipity into this.
Oh.
Like this close. Serendipity has a very special meaning to librarians, but maybe I'll save that for another episode.
all right.
Oh, stay tuned.
Tune in for a
Can't
future
wait.
episode.
Gotta get those hooks in.
Oh.
So we talked about maybe even cutting the nerd word segment for the live episode, but I was like, no. So I made them promise to let me have a nerd word. So before we get into my nerd word, I want to ask, is anyone familiar with the poet Tanis MacDonald?
No.
That's okay. Because I prepared for that. For those of you who don't know, she's an award-winning poet originally from Winnipeg. If I had the time to read her accolades, I would, but we're a little late on time. But Tanis is a super smart writer. You should check her out. She's like the type of writer who can put so much punch into a simple preposition that it'll bowl you right over. In the early aughts, I had the privilege of taking a creative writing course with Tanis at the University of Winnipeg. It was a great course that stuck with me for a number of years. But like all things, it eventually faded into the recesses of my mind, at least until last month when I was fortunate enough to attend a library conference in Toronto. I was looking over the conference program and I noticed that Tanis was doing a book signing for what I assumed was her latest book of poetry, Out of Line. And longtime listeners will know that I'm not super keen on getting books signed, but I thought I should at least say hi since I took a course with her and it would be sort of rude for me to not get a book. It was a pleasant enough experience. I awkwardly reminded her that I had taken a class with her back in the day, and she politely said, yes, I thought the name on your tag looked familiar. If I'm being generous, the whole interaction took less than 2 minutes. I walked away and I glanced briefly at the inscription, "To Alan with U of W memories, Tanis," which I thought was a pretty standard inscription, and if I'm being honest, I was maybe even a little disappointed by it. That is until I started reading the book on the plane ride back from Winnipeg. It took me about 2 hours to get 5 pages into the book because Out of Line wasn't a book of poetry as I had suspected, but a work of nonfiction. Part memoir, part treatise on how to be an artist, which of course included plenty of thoughts on her time as a creative writing professor. As to the reason I made such slow progress with the book, I kept getting slammed with vivid memories of my class with her. Not that it was a salacious expose giving all the dirty details of life as a creative writing professor. According to the book, it's not salacious at all. But it was more like picking up a great conversation from 10 years ago, right where you left off. One of those memories is from the first day of class where, as an icebreaker, she said, and keep in mind she would have worded this much more eloquently than I'm about to, but she said, "As writers, I know that at any given time there is one word buzzing in your head with which you are particularly in love. I'd like us to go around the room and share these words." So if you see any parallels between that and nerd words, might have been the deep Freudian subconscious as to where this segment came from. One half of my brain was a little weirded out that she could so accurately predict the thought process of every aspiring writer in the room. The other half of my brain was ecstatic because I had passed the test. My brain was saying to me, since you do have a word in here that you're in love with, that means you're a writer. My favorite word that month was myriad. My favorite word this month is with, because when Tanis wrote "with U of W memories," it wasn't a generic inscription. Like a great writer, she knew that the weight her words would have when taking into account the context of the rest of the book and all the memories that came flooding back when reading it. So this is the same weight that I want when I say on behalf of all of us here that we love doing Time to Read with all of you. In fact, we can't do this without you. So a big thank you to all of you who take time to listen to the podcast, and thanks to you who take time to write into the podcast, and a big thank you to everyone who took the time to come out tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We hope you all continue to take part in our little podcast community next month as we tackle poetry. Yes, you heard me right. In honor of April being Poetry Month, we will be discussing all of poetry. So let us know what your favorite poems are via our Facebook page, our website, wpl-podcast.winnipeg.ca, or email us at wpl-podcast@winnipeg.ca. So, until next time, make sure you find time to read.
Yay! Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for this special live episode of Time to Read, recorded live at the Goodwill Social Club on Tuesday, March 26, 2019. We especially appreciate our live audience and your enthusiastic participation as we discuss the beloved books of our childhood. Time to Read is a production of the Winnipeg Public Library. Our panel today included Trevor Lockhart, Erica Ball, Alan Chorney, and Kirsten Werman. Our webmaster is Aaron Seaburn. Our social media guru is Regan Brew. Audio production and music by Dennis Penner. Live music tonight provided by Fun Life. Check them out on Facebook. You can be part of our show even when we don't have a live audience. Email us at wpl-podcast@winnipeg.ca with suggestions for books that you'd like us to read and discuss, and comments and questions about the book we're reading for our next show. Visit us on the web at wpl-podcast.winnipeg.ca. Check out our show notes with links to some of the things we talked about today, and take part in a discussion about the books we're reading. You can also join our Facebook group. Next month is National Poetry Month, and we'll be talking poets and poetry. We look forward to spending time with you again and hearing what you think.
All I need is time to read. All I need is time to read. All I need is time to read. All I ever really need is a little more time to read.
And until next...
We're going to make them do it too, right?
Yeah.
You guys are going to say it too, right?
And Dennis is going to make the sound super seamless.
Yeah. Hooray!